Okay. And let me know in the chats if you can't hear this for any reason. It's Ed Mylett talking about the 10 rules for success. We're going to start on rule 4, and I'm going to explain why I picked it and why we're talking about it. So give me a second. Take quiet.
Wasn't an alcoholic. He's not at that meeting. I don't get that job. And if it wasn't alcoholic, I wouldn't have connected with those boys. So all of that in hindsight happened for me, right? And had I met the financial business before that, I'd have flown out of it. I'd have been about ego, making money. And when that didn't happen, I'd have left. So it all happened in the right sequence.
Rule number 4, overcome struggles.
I kept my job at McKinley, and part-time I started in the financial services industry and started to build a team of people and started to get my licenses and that transition. And I struggled like every upstart entrepreneur does.
Well, it takes like 3 to 5 years until you really get a few clients, you know.
In any business, I don't care if it's financial services, tech, dry cleaners, entrepreneurs, the first 5 years is just full of false starts. You get it going, then you don't. You get it going, you take a step forward, you take 3 back. It's constant false starts. It's constantly thinking you have it going. It's constantly negotiating in your mind the price you're paying. Is it worth it? Should I quit? Should I give in? I spent the first 5 years daily contemplating quitting. All the time. Even in the good time. It wasn't fun. And there's just a part of me, I think, in anything you're doing when you're struggling, is this really for me? Is this my destiny? Should I be doing this? And we misread failure from some sign. You know, is this a sign I shouldn't be doing it? You know, is this a sign I am, not cut out for this? Instead of looking for signs that you can win, right? And so I spent the first 5 years literally trying to find ways to quit, trying to find ways to get out, struggling. And I went broke. I lost a car. I had the water turned off in my place. I bought out my first house. I ended up having it foreclosed on eventually. So I'm not that house with the unicorns that you saw, right? Or my beach place. Like that's all the after. People don't realize that there were just years and years of grinding and struggling and worrying in the beginning. And then I made some mental changes and some shifts that altered my life then again.
Rule number 5, find mentors.
I knew I wanted to be successful. I think like in most things, like they show up eventually, but maybe they don't look like the way you thought they'd look when they show up, right? So I was gonna be a baseball player. From the time I was a little boy, I was gonna be a Major League Baseball player.
Like how young?
Oh, 4 or 5 years old, talking about that, knowing players, studying it, telling people I was gonna be one.
Look a certain way.
Trying to be athletic. I'm a little dude naturally, trying to build my body up and build myself up. Well, I am. I mean, but I got little wrists, and I don't do Pilates, but like you do. But I do work out. But anyway, and the Pilates looks good on you. You look younger than I do, brother. So, but anyway, I did grow up wanting to be somebody, and then I got a mentor when I was really young. Hall of Fame baseball player named Rod Carew, who most of you out there will probably know, grabbed me when I was a young man and started pouring belief into me.
How young was that?
I was probably 9. He grabbed me, started pouring belief into me. He saw me at a baseball camp, saw that I was a little guy, saw that I had some potential. I kind of swung like him and batted like him. And so I spent the better part of my youth being mentored and coached one-on-one by a Hall of Fame baseball player. And he just poured baseball tools into me. He poured belief. You're going to be somebody someday. You're going to do something great. So I had someone in my ear I respected believing in me from when I was young. I think that helped me.
Rule number 6, chase discomfort.
This is the last one I want you guys to hear.
It is dangerous because it's like a slow asphyxiation, right? I grew up what I'd call like middle class, but probably the lower side of middle class too. So I think I've told you this, I think there's an advantage sometimes of growing up rich because you got connections and you see the right behaviors modeled maybe. When you're poor, a lot of my buddies that are successful now that were poor, they knew what they didn't want. They were fighting. They learned to struggle. They grew up sooner, right? They couldn't make excuses. They had to learn to be self-resilient. The middle's difficult because good's the enemy of great, right? And so it wasn't horrible. It wasn't like there wasn't food on the table. It wasn't like I didn't get a present on my birthday, right? So you kind of start to think that's what life is. No one in my family ever talked about dreaming or winning or being wealthy. Same time, we weren't really running from something either. So there was no stimulus. The stimulus when you're poor is to get out of there. The stimulus when you're rich is to replicate it. There was no stimulus from where I'm from. And so probably the rarest background when you meet somebody that's successful is the middle. It's actually the rarest that you meet somebody, they're from the middle. And so a lot of your listeners come from that place because most people are in the middle, right? And so I'm sort of, I think, an example of some of the things maybe you would need to do to get out of that space to move from good to some form of greatness in your life.
Yeah. It's comfort, right? That word comfort can be a killer, right? And so that's exactly why I wanted you to to point that out is because so many of us do come from that. And also we're maybe existing in it right now.
So true.
And how important is it to stretch ourselves and to really kind of get comfortable with discomfort?
You do. You need to do that. Malcolm X is a guy that I've read a lot about. And Malcolm X, my favorite quote of Malcolm X is that which you do not hate, you will eventually tolerate. And so there has to be this point in your life where what you want is so much greater than where you are. You're in such discomfort. In other words, the gap between what you're dreaming of, what you're destined to do, what you're capable of, you're aware of it compared to where you are. That tension between the two has a pull power to it, right? And so it's important all the time that wherever you are in life, that you're chasing that next version of you. There's this thing I'm just unbelievably passionate about. That is that I have this theory that I've told you this before, but that I think that at the end of your life, there's this place you come to. And I'm a Christian, so I think at the end of my life, I want the Lord to go, hey, well done, good and faithful servant. It doesn't matter what your faith is. You probably are aware there's history being made or an accounting. But I also think he's going to go, hey, by the way, this is who you could have been. I think he introduces you to the person you are capable of becoming. I really believe that at the end of your life, you're going to get introduced to the person you could have been, you were destined to be, that he made you to be. And so I'm chasing that dude. Every day I'm chasing that dude. That's the pull power for me. Every decision I make, the things I go through in my life, whether I'm going to go to the gym, whether I'm going to make a phone call, how I'm going to eat, does it get me closer to that guy? Because I think the best end of a life is well done by the Lord, and you're identical twins with that person. The bad end of a life would be, I meet this man I could have been, and we're total strangers. I mean, we're just complete opposites. I know nothing about this guy. There's no familiarity at all. And it means that I went down these easy roads. I took the comfortable road. The comfortable road will never lead you to the person you are destined to be, ever in your life. And so if you don't become obsessed with chasing that person, you end up never meeting him.
Rule number 7, master the art of
Okay, those are the ones I wanted to play for you. I actually heard him say, and it might have been in an earlier one. Nope, we're not going to draw. I actually heard him say in an earlier one of his 10, and you guys can go back and watch it, that he had to become somebody mentally. He had to challenge that. Sweetheart, I see it, honey. Can you go back to playing with Buzz, please, or go get daddy? Okay, mommy's busy. Thank you. Sorry, guys. We are battling. She's waking up at like 5 a.m. every morning. So poor Brian is getting up at 5 a.m. with her. Then I'm getting up, starting my day. And then he's like, I can't hang. I got to go back to sleep. So we got to figure out some sort of thing. Anyways, so what was I talking about? Oh, so he was talking about the only shift, the only change in that discomfort, the only change in him going from mediocre to rich was his mind shift. And it was just such gold. Like everything that he said was gold. I like, how many of you guys drop your ahas in the comments from what you just heard? Because it literally, I was just watching that and I haven't even gotten all the way to 10. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with the girls this morning, because I don't know, it just really, really spoke to me. The one that I really loved is that last one. Lisette said, I love the chase discomfort. Yes. Is that last one where he's like, you're going to meet your maker someday. Like you're going to meet God and he is going to show you this person that you could have become. And when that's strong, right? That's like a strong, what is even the word for that? Like that's heavy, right? That's heavy. Like here is this person that you could have become, but instead you were comfortable. Instead, you didn't chase that discomfort. Instead, like all of these things. And Kristen Champagne, I love that one. We mistake failure as a sign to stop going, right? To quit. We mistake failure. Actually, just yesterday, one of my distributors came to me and she was like, I'm talking to this potential, and she said she's having an error signing up to become a distributor. She kept getting this error. And she was like, well, maybe that's just a sign that I shouldn't do this. That is a perfect example of somebody being so fearful of what they're about to start that they just start finding reasons not to do it, right? That's just fear. That's just fear that we have. Hi, honey. I see you. She's really having a hard time lately with mama working. Like why can't we just play all day long? Like, I don't understand. Oh, okay. Annie's was, you stay complacent with where you are versus continuing to push you who you want to be could be. Yes. In the very beginning of his, of this one, and I want you guys to go back and watch it. Let me see if I can, I don't remember which one it was. I think it was like 1 or 2. He's talking about, your thermostat. If you guys have ever read Money Mindset, I think it's Millionaire Mindset or Money Mindset, Millionaire Mindset. He talks about a thermostat, right? And so Ed Mylett was talking about this in the first part of this video, where he was like, you have a subconscious, yeah, she drew somehow. It wasn't today, but anyways. Okay. You have a subconscious, can I just get a second? I'm sorry. I can't even think. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Hi guys. Okay. Does that ever happen to you guys as mamas? Like, I can't even think. She's not doing anything wrong. She's just, yep. No, I can't. I'm trying to like listen. Like my inner mama is like, is there something that I'm supposed to be helping her with? Okay. So what I loved and what I really related with was that he said that we get in this subconscious mindset of what we're worth. Okay. We automatically assume what we're worth. And so we work and we work and we work and we work until we get to this point of like where we feel that we are worth, right? So for me, that was when we saw our first presidential and triple diamond paycheck. We made over $30,000 in 1 month. Okay. $30,000 in 1 month. For me, that was like, not worthy of that. And guess what happened the very next month? It went back down to 25. Okay. Then we consistently stayed at 25 every single month, right? Now, I am not complaining about the amount of money. Hear me, please hear my heart. Okay. I'm not complaining about the amount of money, but it immediately showed me that I have set this level of wealth that I stay at, that I'm okay with, that I somehow am more okay with that amount than 5,000 to 10,000 more than that. Right. And that might be 6,000 for you. Okay. Because for me at first, when we started making $6,000 to $10,000 a month, I stopped again. Okay. So hear me out. Let me start from the very beginning. We started working this business. You guys know my story. I dove in, I went pretty slow. We eventually paid off our debt. Right. Then when it was time for me to retire for myself, and when I was making more money than I had ever made in my life, which was about $5,000 to $6,000 a month, I was comfortable there. I was like, whoa, I see the vision. I see where this could take me, but like, who in the world needs more than this double diamond paycheck? Okay. Like, I was like, nobody else is making this. Like, we're rich. Like, this is great. Right. That was my first comfort level. That was my first glass ceiling that I had to break through. Right. So then Brian went double diamond like a couple months later. And all of a sudden we were bringing in $10K a month with both of us being double diamond. And I remember he had just built this house. Most of America is comfortable with 5K. Seriously. And that's what most of us start like wanting, right? It's usually like 500 a month. But then when you actually catch that vision, it's like, if I could get that double diamond, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, if I could get that double diamond pay, I'd be good to go. So anyways, I hit this level of like, I remember saying to Brian, I was pregnant. Okay. I was pregnant with Huntley. He had just finished the floors in our remodel home. Okay. Like, he had just put down the floors. Huntley was due in like 2 weeks. And it was like, good Lord, put the floors in, put the carpet in. Like, she's coming like a freight train. Like, we got to get this house ready. Right. And we got our paycheck. And I remember I was sitting in a lawn chair while he was installing the floors. I'm sitting out there in a lawn chair like a big old whale in the sun. And I was like, this is stupid. He's like, what? And I'm like, I just opened our commissions and this is stupid. Okay. Do not mistake this for being ungrateful. Please understand what I'm saying. Okay. For me, I've never made that amount of money in my entire life. My dad hadn't even made that kind of money in his entire life. And he's an electrician. Okay. He's not making 10 grand a month. Okay. Now he makes very good money, but he was not making 10 grand a month. Immediately, I had a comfort level of if my dad doesn't make that much, then I'm not worthy of that much. Okay. I immediately because I'm not better than my dad. Does that make sense? Like for some reason, this comfort level of like, my dad deserves so much more. He deserves so much more. And then I work my butt off for a couple years and all of a sudden I'm making more than him when he's worked his whole life to make what he makes right now. Like, this is stupid. Nobody needs this kind of money. Nobody needs this kind of money, right? My mindset was stuck right there. Instead of my mindset being like, hey, in like 6 months, your little brother is going to have something absolutely detrimental happen to his life. And your dad's going to ask you for $5,000 and you're not going to have it because we got stupid with our money. Okay. And we had gone, when that all happened, we had been paid as a ruby. We went down to ruby and then we got right back up. That was actually before diamond. But anyways, my point is that when you least expect it, when you don't understand, when your mindset is cutting you off here, God might actually be preparing you for something that you have no idea is about to come, but you're sitting here feeling unworthy, but it might not even be about you. It might be about something else in your life that's going to come your way that you need to be prepared for. Maybe this COVID crap, right? Maybe this. Maybe people that were like, I'm set. I got 10 grand in savings. That's more than most people in America have. You know what I mean? Like, I'm set. And then you go 3 months without pay and you're sitting here like, yeah, nope, I wasn't even close to set. Like, I didn't know that this is going to happen. What are we going to do? Our life is ending, right? And so we have to constantly be breaking through that ceiling. So after 10 grand, I finally got through that. I got through it by realizing that $10,000 had nothing to do with me. And it had everything to do with the people on my team who deserved more than what they were making at that time. Okay, it had to do with the ones who were sitting right at emerald, right at ruby, right at diamond, who needed to break through their own ceiling, who needed to be shown by a mentor. Remember, he was just talking about that. He's like, I had a mentor. I had somebody in my ear telling me that they believed in me. Okay. My dad was that person for me, but I am fully aware that there are a lot of people in this world that never had a mentor, ever. Maybe even until you entered into this business. You never had a mentor. You never had somebody that truly believed in you. Okay, now looking back, I can sit here and be like, oh yeah, it was my dad all day long, right? He was at every single track meet. He was always in my corner. He was always the one who pushed me forward, right? But while I was in it, I would play the victim. While I was in it, I would say, well, those girls are going to the mall and getting their hair done with their mom. And I didn't have a mom, right? Well, those girls are going to get their nails done. Well, those girls, well, you guys, like, I'm not even kidding. I know this is like too much, but like straight up, when I started my period, it was just my dad. Okay. Like, that's how uncomfortable that was. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he took me, you guys, I can't even believe I'm sharing this. He took me into Rite Aid, okay? Down the aisle where all the like stuff is, you know, like the tampons and the pads. And he literally, there was a lady there grabbing some and he was like, listen, she doesn't have a mom. I don't know what to get here. Can you help me? Like, and I'm sitting there mortified, like 13, 14 years old, just like, good Lord. Like, that is the kind of stuff that I would, and I know I went off on a tangent here, but what I'm saying is like, I would internalize that. And instead of seeing that I had somebody that God placed in my life that believed in me so much, that was truly there for me, that was my person through my whole entire life. And a lot of people don't have that. So I don't take it for granted now, but looking back, I played the victim card a lot of the time. Like, well, but I wanted it to be my mom. Why couldn't it have been my mom? You know, and I think a lot of us do that when we kind of look back and think, well, I did have somebody in my life that believed in me. I did have somebody that was in my corner, but I didn't believe in myself. And so when you don't believe in yourself, a lot of the times it doesn't matter who's there for you because you can't get yourself on board with that, right? Stephanie says, I've never made more than 2K, working on imagining more. Yes. And that's that part he was talking about. That's that comfortable part where everybody else is. Do you know what I'm saying? That's that comfortable part where you got food on the table, right? You're able to pay your bills. Maybe you're late every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're able to survive. It's that comfort. when you have more, it's almost as if, like, I remember when we started to have more and we could like pay off a credit card in a month, like no joke. Like there was literally a time where I had a $7,000 medical bill. And I remember our paycheck coming in that month. And I was like, okay, $7,000 to that. We paid our mortgage, we paid this, and I was still able to put money in savings. And I remember sitting there like, what? It took me 6 months to make $7,000 and I just paid off a bill. Like it was, oh, the electric bill came. You know what I mean? Like it was literally like I just paid off a bill that was like equivalent to $50. It was like, let's just see. And when you have been there, then when we started to struggle a little bit, because I hit another ceiling, I just told you at that 30K level, I hit another ceiling, right? Where I was like, oh, nope, probably not. Probably don't need that. My new tires were like, oh my gosh, I think I paid like $2,500 for them. And yeah, that was another big one too. It was like, I've always had to put tires on credit cards. You know how they like give you that no interest or whatever, like, that's always been me. And by the way, I never had a vehicle that had $2,000 worth of tires on it either. Okay. So like I usually had like a little Toyota Corolla that I'd be like, what's your cheapest? I'll take the used ones, like $50 each. Okay. And, can we also put that on a credit card? Like, is that a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like it's true. And so that was a big moment for me going in to get those tires before we drove here. It was like, okay, it's going to be $2,500. This is sick. Like I'm sick to my stomach, but guess what? We had it. We didn't have to put it over. And so as you grow, you will learn. And it doesn't even have to be that you will learn to like have more expensive things. Like I actually really, admire that about Brian and I. And I don't know if that's like vain to say, but it's the truth. Like until this house, we truly haven't really had like everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like as soon as we started making money, we were smart with it. Thank God we were very smart with it. We were like, okay, we're going to have a rental property. We're going to have this. We're going to pay cash for this. We're going to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially when we started traveling the country, we were like, we're going to put like 30K down on this trailer. Like we wanted to set ourselves up for success. We were very smart with it. Thank God, because we had a lot of other mentors around us that had made money like this before that could show us how we were supposed to be smart with it. Right. Tithing is something that is so important to me. And you guys, when you start making more money, your tithe starts to go up, and it started to scare me. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like it would be like, oh my God, I'm writing. Or not, I don't write checks. I was going to say I'm writing a check. I don't write checks. But like I'm putting in $3,000, $3,500 into my church right now. And I'm like, that could go to savings. Like that should be in savings, like $3,000 to our church. Like, Lord, I'm trusting you, but I can't right now. Like, I don't know if you guys are relating at all to this, but you will. You will. Trust me when I say it doesn't have to be the amounts that I'm talking about. This could be $500 to you. Whatever your cap is relatable to you. And we have to break through that ceiling. So if you've stayed, you got to ask yourself, go back and look. What have you stayed at? What has your income level stayed at? Okay. Because you will see the average that you're comfortable with in that new ceiling that you need to break through. Okay. And when you do that, you're going to have a whole nother ceiling. So I can't sit here and say it's going to be like rainbows and butterflies the second that you hit that 10K that you're going for, right? But you will hit a new level so that you can break through another level because you have been there before, right? And so that's all that life is about, is just growing and growing and growing. And I love that Ed always says that. It's like he was here and then he wanted to quit for 5 whole years. Literally every single day he wanted to quit for 5 whole years. And now he is here because he changed his level of thinking, because he's changed his level of his mind and wanted more and deserved more. And so don't let that level of what you feel you deserve cap it. Work for the things that you're unexpected about, right? Like that doesn't even make sense. But when this happened to my brother a couple years ago, you guys, he just called me the other day on my birthday and he was like, I've only got 7 months left. I'm like, this is nuts. Like this baby's going to be out and he's going to be like 7 months is going to go by like that. Like I can't even believe it. I'm so excited. But anyways, Work for the things that you don't know. You don't know. Stack savings for the things that you don't know that are coming. Because I promise you, there's a reason why God is leveling you up. There's a reason why God is leveling you up. Okay, remember that. Lisette, I'm ready to struggle over giving $3,500. And it's so crazy because who in the world would struggle with that? Right? Like, but I promise you, you will. It's things that you're at a point where you're just like, man, I can't even, I've never been here. And you've never been here to the point where you almost, you can't, like, I can't be like, hey, Dad, I'm struggling right now because I made 30K. Like, what do I, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't relate to anybody. And so it makes it even harder and it makes it even easier to lose because you can't talk about it. You don't know what you're supposed to, you don't know how you're supposed to deal with that. Does that make sense? You got an egg? Yummy. Oh, crack. Yeah, good job. Okay, sorry, I've been babbling. We only got 3 minutes left. Let me read the books real quick here. This one's called The Force. I have difficulty to detect the precise person you are. And of course, so much force is withdrawn from your proper life. But do your work, and I shall know you. Do your work, and you shall reinforce yourself. A person must consider what a blind man's buff is this game of conformity. Ralph Emerson, 1841. At an earlier point in this essay, Emerson states more plainly the following. The object to conforming to usages that have become dead to you is that it scatters your force. So let's tidy this up. Emerson felt that conformity takes a physical, mental, and spiritual toll on our lives. And because there's only so much force to go around, we better stop squandering it. But not so fast. It's easy to conclude that doing what others do or think you should do is some sort of giving in. But self-reliance means you get to decide, and for that matter, define what is and is not conformity. But sometimes we accept the status quo as our path because we simply fail to question it. Perhaps the point is that your force lies in the incredible lightness of being yourself. Wandering far off your path creates a burden you may not feel until it's lifted. Let's check a few things. How often are you justifying your decisions? Oh, that's a big question. Are you ready for that again? How often are you justifying your decisions? Does it seem like there's too much drama in your life? Are you finding it hard to start big projects? Are you clinging more and more to outside validation? There aren't any right or wrong answers. There's just you and the force. What do you accept in your life because you failed to question the status quo? That was literally so perfect for what we were talking about. I love it when that happens. Okay, I'm gonna go right into the devotional real quick and then see if we have time to talk about it. This one's called Seasons of Life. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. In the South, the weather is fickle as winter changes to spring. Several days of bitter cold are followed by a week of warm, beautiful weather. Then snap, back to cold. With the premature warm weather, azaleas begin to bloom. But it's not quite the right time, and they'll die within the next cold snap. I wish I could tell the daffodils in my yard, wait, the right season is coming, just wait for it. And yet, how often have I not heeded my own advice when it comes to seasons of life? As we saw earlier, God has clearly designed life with the seasons. Okay? You need some help here. That's okay. Leave that right there. Hey, B, can you come pick this up? The yolk fell on the ground. Bye-bye. She points to Brian.
You're made to the
Can
rescue.
you pick that up, please? It fell out of my egg. Okay. For example, as single young adults, we are available for long hours in work and ministry in a way that can be quite damaging if we try to do that once we are married and have children at home. Yet, if we are eventually called to marriage, those single years are also the season to find our life partner. So it can be just as damaging to spend all our time on long work hours and none on personal purpose of that season. It is easy to rebel against confining boundaries and not recognize God's wisdom in creating them. For many years, my friend Amy was extremely career-minded and busy. Then Amy and her husband adopted 2 young toddlers and decided she would stay home with them. Since she was an older mom and her friends' kids were already in school, her friends had plenty of time for volunteering, tennis teams, and other activities. Amy was invited to all of it. Hey, since you're going on a girls' weekend to the cabin, hey, since you're at home, could you help us with this fundraiser? We are going on a girls' weekend to a cabin. Want to come? And she often did, even if it meant hiring a sitter to help. Before she knew it, Amy's days were filled with activities, but she was feeling overwhelmed, unfulfilled, and underappreciated. Finally, Amy realized that her friends were in a different season of life. Her own children needed her more than the fundraisers, girls' weekends, and other good things she could do. As she switched priorities, she found that her days were just as busy, but her heart was more full. That's the way it works with seasons. In the right time, we thrive. Oh, I love that one so much. Right now, even just for Brian and I both, we see a lot more people starting to travel full time. And we're seeing, like, we got to do it, right? So like, we're so fortunate that we got to do it for a whole year. But as we see more and more people start to do it, we're like, wait, were we supposed to keep going? Like, could I have had this baby on the road? Just like silly things, right? That you're like, no, you actually needed to stop to have this baby. But we're already talking about like, well, could we do it? Could we do it more? And then it's like, listen, there's different seasons of every life. There's different seasons of every person's life. And the people that are maybe doing it right now with their kids homeschool and, 10 to 12 years old, that works for them. Not to say that we couldn't do it with toddlers, because there's a lot of people that do it with toddlers. But my point of this is recognizing when you're in a season and recognizing when you need to obey that season, when you need to not have resistance in that season. I think right now, a season for all of us is working our butts off right now while we can, right? Like, take advantage. And some of you are still at work, so disregard if you're still working. But like for me, I'm taking advantage of a schedule, because y'all, the second, like yesterday, the beaches opened up and the restaurants opened up in Sarasota. Let me tell you something. We were at the beach and at the restaurant. My phone died and I had no worries, okay? Because that is my life. Like, I am go, 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 not a schedule person at all. But because this has happened, we had our best month last month. Why? Because I implemented a schedule. Because I took advantage of this time of like, you know what? We're home. Might as well like push. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we pushing for more right now? So not to say that you can't push and still have fun, but I took advantage of this time to make sure that we had some sort of schedule. And I love that, because we're in a season. It's just a season. And you guys will find, in fact, I'm reminding myself, because I was you guys, I'm in tears like every day. It's really sad right now. It is what it is. I'm pregnant, whatever. But I get frustrated with myself. Yesterday, Huntley had a water bottle with hydrate in it, and she was holding it like this in the back of the car, and she set it down next to her, and I saw it like going to spill. So in the front seat, I literally whipped around as fast as I could and grabbed it. And then I immediately just started bawling my eyes out because I didn't catch it, number one. And two, I'm pretty sure that I pulled a hip or got it out of place, okay? Because I was in so much pain. Like, I can't even have the mom skills to catch something anymore because I'm such a whale, okay? Like, I understand that's all funny now. Ha ha ha. It was not funny. I was bawling my eyes out because I was so mad that I'm incapable. I was so mad that this pregnancy has been so rough on me. I was trying to figure out what is happening, all of these things. And then I was abruptly and rudely reminded by myself that I lost my first baby before this one, right? So why in the world am I complaining? Why in the world am I complaining that this one's been a little bit harder? What, like, it's been emotionally harder, all of these things, but I had to push myself and throw myself back into gratitude, okay? When we feel sorry for ourselves, or when our minds get the best of us, or when our emotions get the best of us, because right now, let's be real, my emotions are all over the freaking map, okay? And then that makes me more mad, right? Because usually I'm a person that's I'm pretty in control a lot of the time. Okay. So when I'm out of control, I lose it. Like I lose it. I don't understand. I beat myself up, right? I don't know if you guys are like this, but for me, that's how I am. And so I have to find something. I have to hold, the set. Yes, I do. Remember when Huntley cried every single time we drove? You guys, she's still not a driver. Okay. Like she's still not a car go bye-bye type person. But at least now we can distract her with like rolling down the window. We're like, look out the window. And she's like, yeah, like she's so much more better than she was. But legit, you guys, when we were traveling, 6 hours, she would scream bloody murder the whole time. And I'd be in the back of the car like this. Like I'm not even kidding. That was a thing. So that was a season of life. Yes, that I'd rather have her spill hydrate. Thank you, Lisette, for that. I would rather have her spill hydrate than been screaming. But that's my whole point of this, is that we have to make sure that we throw ourselves into that gratitude, because it's the only thing that's going to get us out of the trap that our mind has put us in. Is like, why am I feeling this way? You can sit here all day long and try and think of all these things, like what the devotional said. Are you justifying how you're feeling? Are you justifying what you're doing, right? It's really easy for us to be like, well, I had a crap day. I almost said a bad word. I had a crap day. So I'm just going to I'm just going to waste the rest of the day. Instead, we need to find things that can throw us into our purpose. Because remember, and I'm going to leave you guys with this. Sorry that I kept you so late. Remember, when you go and you meet God and he shows you this person, you want to be that twin. You want to be identical twins with that person. You do not want to be like, who's this chick? She has her hair done. Like, does she do it like herself or what? Was that supposed to be something that I was supposed to do? Anyways, that probably the hair and makeup. I'll never necessarily measure up, but it's okay. I know that I will always be grateful. I know that I will always throw myself into that gratitude. And when you guys have those problems and you have those times of just despair and kind of the pity and the poor me, throw yourself out of it with gratitude. And that's just what I've had to do during this time. And it's really, really helped me to kind of get perspective and get a hold on like, good Lord, like you're fine, Rochelle, you're going to be okay. So I'll leave you guys with that. I love you guys so much. We will, how she never slept, Champagne, everybody. Yeah, she's finally sleeping through the night too, just in time for baby number 2. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye guys.